Imperial officer Crix Madine wishes to join the Rebel Alliance, but the Empire will do anything to stop him. Protect Corellia from destruction as Madine makes good his escape.
Hey everyone, it's Will welcoming you back to the Armory, and this week we're going to be flying a T-47 airspeeder over the hills of Corellia. We'll be flying a patrol and protecting General Riken as he meets with Imperial defector Crix Madine, so let's get in our speeder and we'll head out.
This is Luke Skywalker, go ahead. I've received word an Imperial officer, Crix Madine, wants to defect. Apparently he has a lot of information on the Empire's military ground operations. I'm going to contact him after my meeting with the city officials in the Capitol Tower. Keep your eyes open for any sign of trouble. Form up.
Corellia. The home of such famous rebel heroes like Han Solo, Wedge Antilles, the Millennium Falcon, and even Crix Madine, who we'll be talking quite a bit about today. I do want to take a couple minutes though, before I start talking about Madine, to sort of talk about Corellia, because I feel like the Corellia we are flying over right now is quite a bit different than the one that we've seen in movies like Solo or in Ahsoka. The Corellia of Legends is one of green hills, rolling plains, coastal cities, and has remained important to the galaxy's starship production, with a lot of their freighter, starfighter, and capital ship production moved into orbit to ensure that the environment of Corellia stays protected. Corellia is the capital planet also of the Corellian system, which is a group of 5 planets.
Repeat, under attack. Get back here as soon as you can. Rogue group, we are under... You heard him, full throttle, back to the city.
The system includes the planets of Corellia, Draal, the twin planets of Talus and Tralis, and Salona. Now, the fun part that I really forgot about, because it's been a long while since I've done a deep Legends reread, was that these planets were all brought into the system by Centerpoint Station. Essentially, Centerpoint was a hyperspace tractor beam that had the power to pull the planets from where they had been previously and rearrange them to make the system. From my understanding, for years it had remained inert in orbit between Tralis and Talus, and it had been studied for a number of years with no one really able to sort out what the station's purpose had been. That's where the Solo children come in, and this is all a very hazy recollection of a book I read when I was 12. But the kids were able to reactivate the station, and Han's cousin, Bracken-style Solo, wanted to use it as a weapon to ensure Corellia remained independent, free of the New Republic. Well, of course, the kids stop him, the Corellia crisis has ended, and they join the New Republic. Of course, Centerpoint Station would reappear in Legends. Later, during the Vong War, they would attempt to use it as a weapon. And then in the Legacy of the Force series, I believe it was, there was a group attempting to make an AI of Anakin Solo after he had died to see if they could reactivate Centerpoint to use it as a deterrent or something. It wasn't really clear to me when I read that book. There was a lot going on, and yeah, being up front once more, Centerpoint is one of those things that I sort of remember. It's really hazy. It didn't grab me and never really interested me, so I'm not the best at being able to describe any of its history. Talking about Corellia, though, is something I can do, because I did enjoy seeing its appearance in the Solo movie, and getting to spend a little more time on the planet during the Ahsoka series. The contrast between Corellia and Legends, where it's the green, fertile planet, untouched by its large industry, which has been moved largely to space, is very different to the gray, industrial planet that we're seeing now.
Can you hear me? Rogue Squadron, this is Crix Madine. The attack came before I could reach Riken, and I've been down in the tech center. Can you get me out? Affirmative. Luke, I've got my hands full. Can you get them?
Listen, I know it's a video game, the Empire are horribly evil, but it is kind of a wild strategy just to level an entire coastal city to try and get one defector. In terms of the difference between the Corellias and seeing them on screen, we haven't gotten much more than some establishing shots and looks over Chopper's shoulder, or the really fun car chase Fast and Furious scene from Solo to get a look at the city, but it does feel very different than from what we're seeing here. But I don't really have a preference. I enjoy a lot of the characters from Corellia and feel it's more like a vibe than it is a planet that we need to visit often. Now, let's talk about the second subject of this video, the defector who's held up in the tech center, Crix Madine. Madine's story doesn't change much between the two continuities. In both Legends and canon, he is an Imperial officer who has decided to defect to the Rebel Alliance. Likely, if you've only seen the movies, you'll remember him from his role in Return of the Jedi, where he leads the mission briefing for the attack on the Death Star 2.
Yeah, got a problem here. Inbound fighters at 1013. Hold on, Wedge. Han, Chewie, well, what are you doing here? How you doing, kid? Thought I might give you a hand. This is my hometown, after all. Maintain visual scan.
We have Wedge, Crix, and now Han is here. Basically every pilot from Corellia, except for Core and Horn, is on this mission. I just want to take a little sidetrack as well to mention what a terror this level was as a kid. It took me forever to figure out how to get that bonus, or just how to get between the buildings to get it so I could pick it up without crashing half a dozen times. And this is such a stupid kid playing video games one, but it took me forever to figure out how to take down the AT-AT. I would try shooting at it. I knew from the movies that the blasters weren't enough to get it down, but it never struck me or occurred to me to hit the secondary weapon button when Luke says, "Hey, use your harpoons and tow cables." I am fully aware I'm putting myself on blast on the internet, and, leave a comment if you had something similar. I hope more people than just me did, but if you want to do a little bit of a roast, I understand.
Off the top of the Capitol Towers. Use your harpoons and tow cables. Go for the legs.
Anyway, back to Crix. In Legends, in his youth, Madine was in love with a pro-Palpatine, pro-Imperial woman named Kiara, who influenced his decision to join the Empire. And, in a connection with a future lore and Let's Play possibility, he would leak information to the Rebellion about the Dark Trooper project.
Rogues, I've got trouble over here. They just stopped a pair of scout walkers outside my building.
His time serving as an officer for the Imperials, as well as an incident where his troops murdered a number of innocent civilians by releasing a plague, convinced Crix it was time to fake his death and join the rebellion. Crix was recaptured and, from a future lore and Let's Play contender, Dark Forces, Madine required rescue from the agents Kyle Katarn and Jan Ors. Katarn and Ors helped get him to Corellia, where Rogue Squadron was part of his exfiltration. Sorry, spoilers for the end of the mission, but I think it's pretty obvious what's coming. After his defection at Corellia, Madine would continue to assist Rogue Squadron with their operations and liberation of Gerard 5, as well as their attack on the Jade Moon, one of my personal favorite levels. After he assists the Rogues, Madine would play an integral part in planning the operation that led to the destruction of the second Death Star. After Endor, Madine would be responsible for hunting down and helping capture ranking Imperial officers, and was responsible for fomenting planetary rebellions that were meant to help throw off the yoke of the Empire. In a sad turn of fate, though, Madine would later find out that his ex-fiancée was found dead, part of the Imperial casualties after the invasion of Coruscant. Something I did not realize until rereading the new Essential Guide to Characters. Madine's last hurrah would come in Kevin J. Anderson's book, Darksaber. This is another book that I haven't read, so using the guides and resources like Wikipedia, I can tell you that Madine was murdered by Durga the Hutt on his prototype Death Star super laser. I think that's what the Darksaber was, just basically a stripped down Death Star. Now, for canon, Madine does have a similar background. Again, having spent time as an Imperial officer, he defected to the Rebel Alliance, but we don't have the details of exactly when in the Civil War he defected, or if the Imperials had started just bombing cities like they are now. Madine did appear a couple times in Soul's Run, as well in the background of some other comics. He was involved in planning the assault on the second Death Star as well, integral to the success of the operation on Endor. And after the fall of the Empire, we do know that he was put in command of the New Republic Special Forces. As for his current status in the new canon, we're unsure. After an assassination attempt on Shangela, it's assumed that he was lost or killed in a bombing that had taken place. This attempt was part of the Aftermath trilogy in the book Life Debt. So I think people, I may just be talking about myself actually, are holding out a slim chance that Madine could still be alive. I mean, he's an intelligence officer, maybe he's under deep cover, but likely, similar to his fate in Legends, he has probably been killed in the line of duty. Now, all that's really left for us to do is escort his shuttle out over the ocean, maybe take a shot or two at some of the remaining Imperials on the ground, but otherwise, we've helped with Crix Madine's defection. And there he goes.
Thanks, Rogue Group. I'm clear. General Reagan! It's all right, Luke. You held them off long enough. We evacuated everyone just in time, thanks to Captain Solo and Chewbacca.
I hope you enjoyed playing another level of Rogue Squadron with me, and, of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.